Menus.
I'm Dr.
Document one.
Robinson, and today we are going to go over the quadratic formula again. I uploaded the original version, and then God bless good friends, and he is becoming a good friend. Brian from Indiana State University, thank you very much, Mr. Richwine, actually watch the video because when you're actually doing videos, you're actually so focused on doing the commands that sometimes you miss some things, and I did. So that beautiful line that goes over the radical and the root that's supposed to say end root, you're going to see that it ended too soon. That has to do with parentheses, whether you put one or miss one or add an additional one. And I'm going to show you how to easily correct that because we're going to pretend I actually handed that in to the teacher and she or he handed it back and said, hey, you're off. And then you need to go back and correct it. Let's correct that. I'm going to down arrow so you actually hear what the quadratic formula is supposed to sound like. And when you hear the end root, you will hear for basically times A times C. And it should always end at the end of the equation, not partially. And I will point out the mistakes as I go down.
Math content x is equal to the fraction with numerator negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac and root and denominator 2a and fraction.
Okay, and I'm actually going to control Windows Alt page down just to slow that down a little bit. If you don't know the command, that will permanently slow it down.
Slower. Slower.
Okay, so you can just hear it. I have this twice because if you've watched the video, you know I showed it and then I typed it out. Let's go down to what I accidentally did because I have too many parentheses and they're where they shouldn't be.
Blank. Math blank.
Here we go. Now listen up.
Blank. Math content x is equal to the fraction with numerator negative negative 8 plus or minus the square root of open parent negative 8 close parent squared and root minus 4 times 1 times 7 and denominator 2 times 1 and fraction.
Okay, so you should have heard -8 to the power of 2 end root. That is incorrect. That needs to be at the end of 7, as in 4 times 1 times 7. So we need to correct this. The first thing you need to do, because JAWS or NVDA does a great job of reading it, but you need to put it in linear format so you can go right and left arrow in order to correct this really easily. I'm going to do Alt J, then hit E to go to the equation editor, and then I'm going to hit C to convert, and I can either down arrow or hit C again to linear and hit enter. So this puts it in a linear format, so then I can go ahead and right arrow, and I can adjust those parentheses that were off. Here we go, and listen up.
Alt J upper ribbon expanded E. Equation tools equation C group current professional 1 of C current linear checked to enter leaving menus leaving ribbons print edit
Okay, I'm going to see where I'm at.
end equate home space
Okay, so let's get into it.
equate equals open parent math content.
Okay, the front part looks pretty good. I already immediately see the issue. If you're visual, you'll see it also. You'll hear it as I move through. Let's go.
Minus open parent minus 8 close plus or minus
As you recall, \PM for plus minus.
square root
As you recall, \SQRT for square root.
open parent
That sounds good.
open parent
Sounds good.
minus 8 close parent to the 2 space close parent.
There's the problem. Close the parent there, and guess what? It only puts that beautiful, um, I love the pronunciation of vernaculum over that, and that is not good enough. So if I hit my delete key,
Minus math content.
it goes away. So there's minus.
4. Open parent. 1. Open parent.
Sounds good.
7. Close parent. Close parent.
Okay. And that's only two closed parents because you've got closed of what is under the root, but I have to close the whole thing. So that requires me to add one more parenthesis. So I can either add it here or right arrow. I'm just going to go ahead and do a shift parent
Right parent.
and add it there. And I'm going to continue to listen.
Over. 2. Open. 1. Close parent.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. We're going to see if I did that correctly very quickly. I'm going to do Alt J E. I'm going to hit C to convert, and I'll be right on professional. So here we go.
Alt J upper ribbon E. Equation tools. C. Group. Current. Professional. 1 of 4.
Enter.
Enter. Leaving menus. Upper ribbon. Equation tools. Equation tab. 16 of blank.
The up arrow, and guess what? It did a beautiful job. Let's go ahead and down arrow and listen.
Math content x is equal to the fraction with numerator -8, plus or minus the square root of open parent -8 close parent squared minus 4 times 1 times 7, end root and denominator 2 times 1 end fraction.
Lovely. So down below, I actually corrected it down below, and now I'm going to take the linear, because you could write this all out in linear, just to make sure you've written it all correctly before you turn to professional. So let's go down.
Blank. Corrected.
This is the corrected version.
Math content x is equal to open parent -8 plus or minus the square root of open parent -8 at 2 minus 4 times 1 times 7 times close parent divided by 2 times.
Now, I'm going to have to tell you, I'm kind of getting a hoot out of it says hat to. That has to be an update because it's always been to the power of 2 or, yeah. Anywho, there's the problem. Let's go ahead and do Alt-J-E. We're going to hit C and we're going to turn that into professional also. So let's go Alt-J.
Alt-J, upper rib E. Equation tools C, convert. Alt followed by JECC group current professional check enter. Leaving menus upper ribbon equation tools
and of course that reads beautifully also. Now I'm going to show you actually an even quicker way to change that. Yes, you can go ahead and go through arrow by a time, one at a time, but if you have a braille display, there is a termination, so 1 2 4 5 6, that actually terminates too soon, and is all you have to do is get rid of that and just move it to where it needs to be. I'm going to do that on the next one so you can actually see how to do that also, because if you have a braille display, math is so much faster because you're basically dealing with 6 keys. Let's down arrow.
Blank. Math content x is equal to the fraction with numerator 8 plus or minus the square root of 64, end root minus 28 and denominator 2 end fraction.
Okay, and you heard end root after 64, that is incorrect. It's 64 minus 28. I'm going to go into the Braille math editor. I am using a focus display. I'm going to 3746 and space. And it did not open that time. I'm going to tell you, a lot of times if you sit on the space and then do 3746, it will populate quicker.
Braille math editor, equation edit, type in a math expression, press insert F1 for more help.
And don't you love it? There is nothing there. So I probably need a right arrow into that, or my cursor popped out. So let's hit escape. Let's get in there.
And numerator math content.
Sure enough, my cursor had popped out. So if you open your Braille math editor and there's nothing there, you're actually not in the equation. So now that I actually left arrow and I heard that the equation started reading, it will populate. Let's do this again. And I am going to start it with a space and then 3746. And let's get this open. And let them all go at the same time.
Braille math editor, equation edit, contains text. Type in a math expression.
Now, we know that it was square root of 64 end root. So I'm going to right arrow pretty quickly through this. I'll start out slowly so you can actually hear it. Of course, it's beautifully on your Braille display. If you have your Braille display, you can just route your cursor right to it and pop right to it. So I'm going to show you how I can do that. Ta-da! Yeah. So if you're visual, you'll see I just popped, so I'm going to left arrow.
Dots 2, 5,
right
6.
Arrow.
Dots 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
And that's what we love about Braille displays. But I'm going to go ahead and pop back to the beginning so I can right arrow. You can also listen. And let's go ahead and right arrow.
Braille dots 4, 6. Dots 1, 3. Braille space. Dots 1, 4, 5. Dots 2, 3, 6.
Well, that's pretty tedious. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Braille display and I'm going to route my cursor right to it. Love it. I'm going to left arrow, right arrow, just so you can hear.
Dots 2, 5, 6. Dots 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
So that is the offending Braille code that I want to move from there to the end right before the fraction line. So I'm just going to hit my delete key.
Dots 3, 6.
I'm going to right arrow.
Dots 2, dots 3, 4.
Dots 3, 4. Right now, and you can't hear it, but it says invalid or incomplete Braille math. If I hit my enter on this, it actually would not let me enter this. But I need to go ahead and put my termination symbol there. 1 2 4 5 6.
Dots 1 3 4 6 Braille space. Dots 4 6. Dots 1 3 Braille space.
Let's try that again. I'm not really actually sure. I probably hit a wrong key there. Let me go ahead and route my cursor to that again. Actually, I am there. I want to see what my cursors did.
Dots 1346 braille space dots 46 braille dots 34 dots 12456.
Okay, so once you put that in there, it, visually you can actually see it's all corrected. It looks beautiful. I'm going to hit enter on that, and it's going to correct the problem. I'm going to tell you based on your Word version and your updates, if you hit enter and nothing appears, you're going to do a Control V. Let's see where my computer is and what it's doing today.
Enter.
Okay.
Document
It,
one word.
it does
Edit.
not it does not correct the actual problem, but let me show you the trick. Down arrow,
Math blank.
blank, Control V.
Pasted.
Okay, so that's just another technology trick because this is technology. It happens. So let's go ahead and up arrow, listen to the incorrect one.
Math content x is equal to the fraction with numerator 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 and root minus 28 and denominator 2 and fraction.
Okay, let's listen to the correct one now.
Math content x is equal to the fraction with numerator 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 28 and root and denominator 2 and fraction.
We're loving that. Let's down arrow.
Blank. Math content x is equal to the fraction with numerator 8 plus or minus the square root of 36 and root and denominator 2 and.
Okay, we're looking pretty good the rest of the way, I believe, but I do have one more thing I need to show you.
Blank, blank, blank. Solutions.
Solutions.
Math content x is equal
That's okay
blank
too.
and blank. Math content x is equal to 7a and dx is equal to 1.
Okay, now it said A and D because I actually typed that out, x equals 7. I wanted to show people and I selected it and all equal. The problem with typing out words is they look like they're going to be math.
Math x space.
Okay, so I'm going to backspace over this.
D and a dot math con.
I'm going to tell you a
content,
simple solution, just hit a comma.
Space.
Okay. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back into the editor. You're going to have to choose text. It's just a couple more steps you really don't need. Your teacher, and you've already solved it up above. X equals 1. You're just putting it more cleanly here. So that is how you fix your issues if you have done your math and you've received it back from your teacher and your teacher says, hey, correct this. Just go into linear format, left and right arrow. Easy, easy to correct the math. So that is quadratic formulas. This is attached to the very first one. If you haven't watched the first one yet, go back to the first one and you will hear those issues too. Once again, thank you, Brian, for pointing that out. And if ever you see any issues on the math, because I am just pumping these out pretty quickly and I'm very focused on the commands of what I need to actually do. And sometimes I might just miss some of that math. Let me know. And of course, it's great to do a video on how you can make those corrections of the math. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Do let me know if you have something special in mind that you really need help with. I'll put a video out for it. Okay, we will talk to you later.
Zoom World Q and enter.